This video is about the anti-COVID measures being taken by K11, an extremely sensitive and an extremely important topic, and hence I have taken the trouble of jotting my thoughts down, and I will be reading out, or will be a little weird for my students because they've never seen me read out, but it's important that I don't miss anything, and which is why I've penned my thoughts down. With the recent notice from the central government giving gyms the green signal to open for business, gyms in many states have opened, and in some states the state governments have still not given permission, probably because the state government's SOPs are not yet formulated. K11 centers are in Maharashtra, Gujarat, Delhi, West Bengal and Assam. In those states where gyms have been allowed to open, K11 will partially open by starting practicals on its in-house gym floors. K11 wishes to ensure the folks at home of our customers who will be sending their sons, daughters, husbands, wives, brothers and sisters to our facilities that K11 will surely be more microbe-free than our homes. To keep up to this tall claim that I'm making, K11 will have to not only follow the SOPs laid down by the state governments, but also go beyond. K11 will have the standard body temperature checks at the entrance, social distancing markings, entry restricted only to people wearing appropriate masks and shields, face shields compulsory for all K11 staff including mask trainers, hand sanitization made compulsory at the main entrance and at all entry points to gym floors and washrooms, hand sanitization for staff at a set frequency of an hourly basis, sanitization of all surfaces. Even these measures will be executed with a level of strictness usually not seen in most establishments. For instance, no exceptions will be made. Prospect students, staff alike will be asked to return if any of the conditions are not met. None of those standard measures will be done frivolously, and accuracy will be chased to its logical extent. As an example, our security staff will take 3 readings with the infrared thermometer devices for everyone and take into account the highest reading. This is K11's self-imposed SOP due to the often erroneous readings one gets on these thermometer devices. Face shields are also of the brand name Mukut, ergonomically designed by an ergonomist and engineer Mr. Yogesh Rao, that make way more sense than those shields made by bike helmet manufacturers. To show you, this will be worn by the K11 mask trainers and the K11 staff. What's so novel about this? If you think it's upside down, so this is the way a shield normally looks, alright, but the shield is to be worn in this manner. The chin will rest here, the head strap will be on the top of your head, and what this does is it basically makes more sense out of the face shield. One of the things that the face shield needs to do, apart from not allowing liquid droplets from your mouth to travel, is also to protect your face from your own hands. Now, it's extremely easy with the face shields available today for a person to actually put his hand inside and rub his nose. Well, what this does is the opening is at the top, not at the bottom. Thus, the frequency at which one is going to touch his mouth or his nose with his hands is going to be drastically reduced while wearing these masks. The head strap at the top also ensures that you don't get this indentation right here and this irritation that one feels when one is wearing a mask that is tightly held across one's forehead. And if you see the design, the shield actually moves away from your face, thus allowing people with spectacles to be comfortable. And this face shield actually was presented to us by the manufacturers, and I'm glad they did that presentation. It made so much more sense that the added expense of more expensive shields was completely justified. Just a few ways in which I wish to prove to you all that we're taking this extremely seriously, way more seriously than just making a formality out of it. These are to be reused on a daily basis, and hence we need to get them sanitized. So we've ordered these boxes. This is the box by the brand name of Samsung. It's manufactured down south. These actually are boxes that have a UV light, right? And after every usage, these shields are going to be stored inside these boxes. Each box is capable of taking about 3 sheets, and hence the next day when our staff again returns to wear these face shields, they are completely and totally microbe free. These boxes are used in hospitals usually to sanitize surgical tools. Now, all that I've spoken of up until now is, as I said, mandatory. But our K11 mantra has always been, what more can we do? So, sticking to our K11 mantra, we came up with 2 more measures that will ensure a near microbe-free environment. Remember, this is over and above the government SOPs. When we say a near microbe-free space, we need to cover 2 aspects. Obviously, the air and also surfaces. When we say surfaces, you're talking about the floor, you're talking about the walls, you're talking about the ceiling, you're talking about objects inside, equipment, furniture, handles of doors, everything. For the air, it's an old solution to the microbe problem. Ultraviolet rays of the correct intensity to literally sterilize the air in the rooms. As you can see in the video, we've got multiple lamps to cover our square footage. 1 lamp approximately will handle about anywhere between 150 to 300 square feet. Keeping that in mind, we've got the appropriate number of lamps for each facility. At the correct intensity, the rays create ozone, immediately noticeable with the distinctive ozone smell. This is something that you should look for even in facilities which say that we've got the ultraviolet light, because there are ultraviolet tube lights available, but they're not of the intensity that they should be. So unless and until you actually get the distinctive smell of ozone, and the smell comes immediately within about a minute of the lamp switching on, you'll get the smell. So if you're not getting the smell, that's not at the right intensity. The ultraviolet rays are harmful to humans. That's a well-known fact. And obviously, while the ultraviolet rays are switched on inside those rooms or halls, they'll have to be completely empty. The way it works is that, let's assume that our first batch of trainees come in at 7 a.m. for their practical training. We'll be switching on the lamps on the gym floor at about 6 o'clock. These lamps are with built-in timers. They switch off on their own. The maximum time that they're kept on is a 45-minute period. So we will set them for 45 minutes at 6 a.m. At 6:45, they will switch off on their own. A 15-minute period is required for the distinct ozone smell to sort of reduce, so that it becomes easier for the people to enter the place. It's also not very healthy to enter a place that has got such a big significant ozone presence. So at 7 a.m. our first batch will start. As I said, it's good that all our people come in batches, because it allows us to give these booster doses of the ultraviolet rays in between batches itself. So the way we will time the batches is that there will be a 1 hour gap or a 45-minute period gap between batches. During that time, the premises will get, the hall or the door will get locked after the devices are switched on. Even the switching on of the devices gives you a nice buffer period. So after you switch on the devices, the UV ray emits after about a 15-second delay. So it allows the person who's switching on these lamps to move out of the room, and then the lights come on. For surfaces, we have chosen to go with a German nano surface coating treatment called Liquid Guard. It is government approved for being 99.99% effective against formite transmission. So formite transmission probability of the coronavirus family, and also of all types of viruses and bacteria. Formite transmission means transmission from surfaces. So obviously you know that when somebody coughs or sneezes, liquid droplets from our mouth can fall on all kinds of surfaces. And then it's about a person basically touching those surfaces and then probably using his hand and touching his mouth and nose. And that's how the infections happen. So the COVID-19, like all of the previous coronaviruses also, has got a kind of a shelf life, if you may, on surfaces. It can survive on surfaces from anywhere between 2 hours to 9 days. Now, obviously, this huge wide range of survival of the virus on surfaces will depend on external factors such as temperature, humidity, type of surface. By the way, K11 will abide by the mandate given by the government to maintain temperatures within our facilities to about 24.5 degrees Celsius. And this will ensure that the environment is not cold enough to unnecessarily extend the life of any microbe that could survive our stringent measures. The one-time cost of this nanotechnology spray is definitely worth it, as this nano coating creates surfaces on which viruses and bacteria of any kind are immediately destroyed on contact. This surface treatment is certified to last for 12 months. The Indian authorities have certified it for 6 months. K11 has already ensured and given the purchase orders for a second treatment to be done at exactly the 6-month period, thus covering a full year of almost microbe-free environment in its schools. Now, how does it destroy the virus on contact? When I was given a rundown about the technology and the way it sort of deals with viruses and bacteria, all kinds of microbes, I was at least satisfied that the mechanism is more mechanical rather than biochemical. Because the mechanical way in dealing with microbes completely removes the relevance of it being a COVID-19 virus or not being a COVID-19 virus. Because the surface actually is an extremely harsh surface for the body of the virus or the bacteria. Now remember, this is nanotech. So actually, if this nanotechnology spray were to be magnified, the spray basically will settle on all surfaces. So on the gym floor, it's going to settle on dumbbells, barbells, handles, lat pull down bars, on the guide rods, on your weight stacks. It's going to settle on everything. A Swiss ball, your benches. And if this surface, this coating that is going to form, if you really magnify it to a level at which it is visible, which will require immense amount of magnification. Remember, we're talking about nanotech, but what you would see is actually a spiked surface. It would be like a bed of needles. And this physical barrier basically does what? It impales, for want of a better word, it actually impales the microbes. So as the microbes fall in liquid droplets onto the surface, these nano needles, if you may, are going to basically puncture the microbes. They're going to puncture them and render them completely destroyed. And I was satisfied with the papers I read. In fact, that's another thing. All the certificates, all the papers that validate this technology, all the governments that have given the go-ahead for this technology is going to be presented and framed and put on the walls of all the K11 facilities. And we will present to you over social media as well. So as I said, the one-time cost is worth it because it takes care of 6 months. For instance, the other way of taking care of surfaces would be frequent sanitization. So we've all seen promotional films of facilities opening up where you see these people spraying. So I've seen salons do it. They spray the chairs and everything, including the scissors and everything, with sanitizer. And what they have is just a specialized canister that will spray over everything. But unless you're going to spray the sanitizer at a frequency of about 5 minutes and you're going to cover all surfaces, it's not really possible. A regularity of every 5 minutes is what I would be comfortable with, saying that all right, things are going to completely and totally be protected against any kind of fomite transmission. So keeping that in mind, this nano coating really made sense. It's something that is really going to work. It's something that is really going to protect you against fomite transmission, and hence we've gone ahead with that. We're K11, we're scientific, and thus we will keep you truly safe.